The glowing runes faded from the ancient wall, and the hidden keyhole disappeared as though it had never existed. Lucien stared at the blank stone in disbelief, the bronze key growing cold in his hand. Lord Cashin quietly stepped beside him. Some doors do not open simply because you have the key. When the time comes, it will open again. Before Lucien could ask another question, Cashin walked away, leaving him with more questions than answers. Back at the Imperial Academy, Lucien tried to focus on classes, but his thoughts remained buried beneath the Imperial archives. During lunch, Rowan noticed Lucien absent-mindedly staring at his meal. You know, normal people eat their food instead of interrogating it. The table erupted into laughter. Even Lucien smiled, while Lyra, Sarah, and Kale quietly enjoyed the brief moment of peace. That evening, Cashin reported everything to Emperor Cedric. The prince reached the sealed chamber. Cedric slowly closed the document in his hand. So the key has finally awakened. His expression remained calm, but the weight of old memories lingered in his eyes. Soon after, Duke Ulrich met the emperor privately. Once again, he gently pressed the matter of betrothing Serena to Lucien, believing the union would strengthen both House Ulrich and the empire. Cedric politely refused as he always had. Lucien's future will not be decided by anyone but Lucien. Though Duke Ulrich accepted the answer with grace, it was clear he had no intention of abandoning the idea. The following day, Headmaster Orion entered the classroom carrying a scroll sealed with the imperial crest. By order of His Majesty, all first-year noble students are invited to attend next month's Royal Founding Celebration. Excited whispers spread throughout the classroom. Rowan was already dreaming of the banquet. Kale wondered how many speeches nobles could fit into one evening, and Sarah laughed at their reactions. Lyra quietly glanced toward Lucien, while Lucien looked beyond the classroom windows toward the distant imperial palace. The bronze key had led him to one hidden secret. He was certain the palace held the next. The day of the royal founding celebration finally arrived. Dressed in their formal attire, Lucien, Lyra, Sarah, Rowan, and Kale entered the imperial palace alongside the empire's young nobles. Beneath towering crystal chandeliers and royal blue banners, the grand ballroom overflowed with laughter, music, and quiet political conversations. Headmaster Orion reminded the students that tonight they represented not only the Imperial Academy, but the future of the empire itself. As the banquet began, Rowan's attention immediately drifted toward the endless tables of food. Now this is the kind of academy lesson I can support. Kale sighed. Try not to embarrass us before the first course. Their exchange earned laughter from the group, allowing Lucien to relax, if only for a moment. Elsewhere in the ballroom, Duke Ulrich quietly approached Emperor Cedric once again. Speaking politely but firmly, he renewed his long-standing request to betroth Serena to Lucien, believing the union would strengthen both House Ulrich and the empire. Cedric remained calm. Lucien's future will be decided by Lucien. Though Duke Ulrich accepted the answer with a respectful bow, it was clear he had no intention of giving up. As the orchestra began to play, the master of ceremonies invited the young nobles to the dance floor. Before Lucien could ask anyone, Lyra stepped beside him and shyly offered her hand. Lucien smiled warmly and accepted. Together they shared their first dance beneath the glittering chandeliers, the music briefly allowing them to forget the burdens they carried. Watching from the edge of the ballroom, Sarah quietly noticed the way Lyra looked at Lucien and, for the first time, understood what her friend had been trying to hide. High above the celebration, a lone masked figure stood silently upon the palace rooftop. Zach's ancient golden eyes never left Lucien. To everyone below, it was a night of celebration. To Zach, it was simply another move in a much larger game. As the music came to an end, Lucien suddenly felt as though someone was watching him. He looked toward a distant balcony, but found only the empty night. Somewhere within the palace, the next move had already begun. The royal founding celebration ended, but Lucien left the palace with more questions than answers. The feeling of being watched lingered in his mind, and the bronze key remained silent. Hoping to awaken it once more, he returned to the imperial archives. The ancient wall showed no reaction. It stood as ordinary stone, as though the hidden chamber had never existed. As Lucien turned to leave, Lord Cashin appeared once again. Some paths cannot be forced. If the key has chosen you, it It will reveal the way again. With that, Cassian walked away, leaving Lucien to ponder his words. Back at the academy, Lucien, Lyra, Sarah, Rowan, and Kale gathered in the library, searching through ancient maps and forgotten records. While comparing old blueprints of the Imperial Palace, Kale suddenly noticed something unusual. Beneath the current palace layout was the outline of a much older structure, hidden directly beneath the Imperial throne. That night, unable to ignore the discovery, Lucien returned to the palace alone. As he descended into forgotten corridors beneath the throne room, the bronze key suddenly began to glow. Following its golden light, he reached an ancient stone door unlike the one in the archives. This door already held a waiting keyhole. Lucien slowly inserted the bronze key. Golden runes spread across the stone as the massive door trembled open, revealing a chamber untouched for centuries. Ancient tablets lined the walls. Broken statues stood in silence, and at the center rested a lone stone pedestal, bearing the outline of an artifact that had long since been removed. As Lucien stepped closer to examine it, footsteps echoed behind him. He turned. Standing at the entrance of the forgotten chamber was Emperor Cedric. For the first time since Lucien had known him, the Emperor looked not angry, but disappointed. The ancient stone door rumbled shut behind Lucien and Emperor Cedric. Silence filled the forgotten chamber beneath the Imperial throne. Ancient portraits lined the walls, while sealed Imperial records rested behind enchanted crystal. At the center stood a lonely stone pedestal, empty. Lucien slowly approached it. Something was here. Cedric nodded. It was. Lucien examined the hollow imprint. What was it? Cedric answered quietly. Something that no longer exists. As Lucien looked around, his eyes stopped on a portrait. A young woman with long silver-white hair and gentle emerald-green eyes smiled softly. Princess Evelyn Vale. Lucien couldn't explain why, but he couldn't look away. Who is she? Cedric walked beside him. She was my elder brother Aldrich's wife. I've never heard anyone mention her. Very few still do. Lucien lowered his head. I'm sorry. So am I. Continuing through the chamber, Lucien noticed rows of sealed Imperial archives bearing the royal crest. He stepped closer. Cedric stopped him. Not yet. Why? Because once you learn what lies within, your life will never be the same. After a long silence, Lucien nodded. I understand. The two quietly left. Several minutes later, Cedric returned with Lord Cassian. The dragon core should have been here. Cassian examined the pedestal. The Imperial archives all say the same. Cedric frowned. No seal has been broken. No hidden passage exists. So tell me, where did it go? Cassian lowered his head. I don't know, Your Majesty. For the first time, the Empire possesses a mystery even its history cannot answer. Cedric sighed. Keep this between us. No one must know. As you command. The two departed, leaving the chamber silent once again. Then, the shadows rippled. Hidden by ancient dragon magic all this time, Zack stepped forward. His golden eyes never left the empty pedestal. He gently placed his hand upon the cold stone. Empty. For the first time, his expression changed. A memory surfaced. Lucien, standing beneath the moonlight, using an ancient dragon spell. One Zack had never taught him in this timeline. His eyes widened. That spell. Another memory followed. The dragon core. The ritual. Time reversing. Everything suddenly aligned. So, the dragon core has already been consumed. A slow smile appeared. I've been waiting for something that has already happened. He looked toward the Imperial Palace. Lucien, you've already become its vessel. A quiet laugh escaped him. So there is no need to wait any longer. Ancient dragon magic surrounded his body as he disappeared into the darkness. Only one sentence echoed through the forgotten chamber. It's time to bring you home. Morning arrived over the Imperial capital, but something had changed. Imperial knights patrolled every major street. Royal messengers hurried between noble estates. Even the merchants whispered as they opened their shops. Standing on the palace balcony, Lucien quietly watched the city below. Lyra approached beside him. You've been here since sunrise. Lucien smiled faintly. I can't explain it. It feels like something has started moving. Lyra looked toward the capital. Ever since we left that chamber, you've been different. Lucien remained silent. Princess Evelyn's portrait still lingered in his thoughts. Meanwhile, deep beneath an abandoned cathedral, Dozens of Shadow Crown members knelt before a black throne. Zack sat in silence. One commander stepped forward. "My lord, should we continue observing Prince Lucien?" Zack slowly shook his head. "No." The hall fell silent. "The time for observation has ended." He slowly stood. His long silver-white hair flowed behind him. "Begin the next phase." Every member bowed. "As you command." At the Imperial Academy, the clash of swords echoed across the training grounds. Rowan lowered his blade. "You're distracted again." Lucien sighed. "I know." Kale closed the book in his hands. "You're still thinking about the hidden chamber." Lucien nodded. "And Princess Evelyn." "I feel like I've seen her before." Kale adjusted his glasses. "I searched the public archives. Almost every record about Princess Evelyn disappeared 16 years ago." Serena frowned. "Disappeared?" "Someone erased them." Everyone fell silent. Lucien looked toward the Imperial Palace. So someone wanted history forgotten. Elsewhere, inside his private estate, Duke Ulrich quietly read another report. A servant hurried inside. "My lord, the Emperor has increased security around Prince Lucien." The Duke smiled. "So, Cedric has started moving." The servant continued. "Imperial investigators have also begun questioning several noble merchants." The smile remained. "Good. The more attention Cedric gives the Shadow Crown, the less he'll notice the snake beside him." High above the Imperial capital, Zack stood alone upon an abandoned bell tower. His golden eyes overlooked both the palace and Lucien. A quiet smile crossed his face. "The Dragon Corps has already chosen you. There is no longer any reason to wait." He turned toward the rising sun. "The time has come to bring you home." The wind swept across the city. Far below, Lucien instinctively looked toward the distant rooftops. For a brief moment, he felt someone watching him, but when he searched, there was no one there. Later that evening, the Imperial Palace was unusually quiet. Inside the Emperor's private study, Cedric read another intelligence report. A knock echoed through the room. "Enter." An Imperial knight hurried inside before kneeling. "Your Majesty." A letter was found upon the Imperial throne. Cassian frowned. The throne room. The guards saw no one enter. The knight presented a black envelope sealed with black wax. Upon it was a single emblem, the Shadow Crown. Cedric broke the seal. He unfolded the letter. His expression slowly changed. Cassian stepped closer. "What does it say?" Cedric quietly read aloud. "How long do you intend to hide the true heir of the Imperial throne?" The room became silent. Cassian's eyes widened. Cedric continued. "When the nobles learn Prince Aldrich's son still lives, whose banner will they follow? Tell him yourself, or I shall tell the Empire." Cedric slowly lowered the letter. "So, it has begun." Cassian clenched his fist. "If this reaches the Royal Council, the Empire could split in two." Cedric nodded. "The Loyalists will stand beside Adrian. The traditional nobles will demand Lucien." A single rumor could begin a civil war. The following morning, rumors spread throughout the Imperial capital. "They say the Imperial family hid another prince. I heard he's the true heir." "No. They say the Crown Prince isn't first in line." Every whisper fueled another. Inside House Ulrich, Duke Ulrich quietly smiled. "So, the Shadow Crown has made the first move." His advisor bowed. "Should we suppress the rumors?" The Duke slowly shook his head. "No. Fear spreads faster than truth. The more they doubt, the easier they are to control." That evening, an Imperial messenger arrived at the Academy. "Prince Lucien, His Majesty requests your presence immediately." Lucien exchanged confused glances with his friends. "What happened?" The messenger lowered his head. "I was only ordered to bring you." Without another question, Lucien followed. The Imperial Palace was silent. Imperial servants opened the doors to the Emperor's private bedroom. Lucien stepped inside. Waiting for him were Emperor Cedric, the Empress, and Prince Aldrich. The doors slowly closed behind him. Lucien looked around. "You wanted to see me?" No one answered immediately. Cedric walked forward and handed him the black letter. "Read it." Lucien unfolded the letter. As his eyes reached the first sentence, his expression changed. "The true heir." He slowly looked up. "What does this mean?" Cedric took a deep breath. "It means the truth can no longer remain hidden." The room fell silent. Then Cedric spoke. 16 years ago, my elder brother, Aldrich, and his wife, Evelyn, had a son." Lucien listened quietly. Cedric continued. That child was you. Time itself seemed to stop. Lucien stared at Cedric. What? He turned toward Aldrich. No, that's impossible. Aldrich slowly lowered his head. It isn't. I wanted to tell you countless times. But I couldn't. Lucien stepped backward. My mother, Princess Evelyn. Cedric nodded. She died protecting you. And your father. He looked toward Aldrich. Never stopped searching for the courage to face you. Lucien couldn't speak. Everything he believed about himself changed in a single moment. Cedric continued quietly. I promised Evelyn that I would raise you as my own. I believed hiding the truth was the only way to keep you alive. Lucien looked toward Cedric. So, you always knew. I did. The Empress knew. Cashin knew. And Aldrich. No one else. Silence filled the room. Then, the Empress walked toward an old wooden chest beside the bed. She carefully opened it. Inside rested a simple silver bracelet engraved with ancient dragon runes. She gently picked it up. Evelyn entrusted this to me. Lucien looked at the bracelet. For me? She smiled sadly. She asked me to give it to you. On your 18th birthday. Lucien looked confused. Why now? The Empress slowly fastened the bracelet around his wrist. Because today, you learned who you truly are. Lucien looked at the bracelet. Nothing happened. The runes remained silent. What does it do? The Empress shook her head. I don't know. Evelyn never told anyone. She only said, when the time comes, he'll understand. The room fell silent once more. Outside, far above the Imperial Palace, a lone figure watched from the darkness. Zach. His golden eyes rested upon the bedroom window. A faint smile appeared. So, you finally told him. The wind carried away his words. The final move can finally begin. Night fell over the imperial capital. Lucien stood alone on the palace balcony. His hand rested upon the silver bracelet. Father, he quietly whispered the unfamiliar word. Even now, it didn't feel real. Behind him, the balcony door opened. Aldrich stepped outside. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Aldrich broke the silence. I know I don't deserve to ask anything of you, but thank you for listening. Lucien looked toward the night sky. I don't know how to feel. Aldrich nodded. I wasn't asking you to forgive me. I only wanted you to know the truth. Lucien slowly looked at him. Give me time. A faint smile appeared on Aldrich's face. I can wait. Elsewhere, the shadow crown began to move. Black cloaked figures silently infiltrated the imperial capital. Explosions erupted near the outer gates. Alarm bells echoed throughout the city. Imperial knights rushed into position. Lucien, Adrian, Lyra, Rowan, Kale, and Serena joined the Imperial Knights. Smoke covered the city. Rows of shadow-crowned soldiers slowly advanced. Then, the entire army suddenly stopped. A lone figure walked through the center. Every shadow-crowned soldier knelt. Aldrich's face turned pale. Zach. The masked man stopped. It's been a long time. Aldrich. Adrian frowned. You know him? Instead of answering, Zach slowly removed the black mask. The battlefield fell silent. Golden dragon mana surrounded him. His silver-white hair gradually darkened, until it became long black hair. Lucien's eyes widened. Master. Lyra froze. Master Ewan. Rowan stood speechless. Kale dropped his glasses. Serena covered her mouth. It can't be. Zach looked at the 5 students. A faint smile crossed his face. Well, do I look good in white hair? No one answered. Their academy instructor and the leader of the Shadow Crown were the same person. Zach glanced across the battlefield. Humph. Sending academy students onto a battlefield. What a foolish decision. His golden eyes settled on Lucien. And you. I've finally come for you. Lucien slowly drew his sword. Then you'll have to take me by force. A faint smile appeared on Zach's face. Exactly what I expected. The final battle had begun. The battlefield fell silent. Neither side moved. Lucien and Zach stood facing one another. The silver bracelet upon Lucien's wrist suddenly trembled. A faint golden light escaped its runes. At the same moment, Aldrich clutched his chest. What? A sharp pain spread through his body. Zach's golden eyes widened. The dragon core. Golden dragon runes erupted across Lucien's arm. A brilliant pillar of light shot into the sky. The wind stopped. The battlefield froze. Soldiers, knights, even the falling ash remained suspended in the air. Only 3 people could still move. Lucien, Aldrich, and Zack. The world around them dissolved. An endless white space replaced the battlefield. Lucien looked around in confusion. Where are we? Zack calmly answered. The memories of the dragon core. Golden fragments floated around them. One by one, the memories awakened. A young Zack laughed beside Princess Evelyn. Another fragment. Evelyn smiling at Aldrich. Another. Lucien silently watched. More memories appeared. Master Ewan teaching Lucien ancient dragon magic. Training together. Sharing meals. Long conversations beneath the academy trees. Lucien lowered his head. So, none of it was fake. Zack answered without hesitation. No, I simply had another objective. The memories continued. The Shadow Crown's birth. Cities burning. The Empire collapsing. Lucien watched his previous self fighting beside Cedric. Then, everything stopped. Duke Ulrich drove his sword through Lucien's chest. Aldrich froze. No, he had never seen this moment before. Zack watched silently as his past self executed Duke Ulrich with a single strike. Then came the ruined throne room. Cedric's tears. Aldrich's despair. The dragon core. The ancient ritual. Time itself shattering. Finally, the last fragment disappeared. The endless white world became silent. Lucien slowly looked toward Zack. So, you reversed time. Zack nodded. I simply corrected a world that disappointed me. The white world began to crack. Golden light spread through the sky. The memories had ended. The 3 returned to the battlefield. Nothing would ever be the same again. The battlefield returned. Time began to flow once more. The clash of steel echoed across the imperial capital. Neither side understood what had happened. Only Lucien, Aldrich, and Zack remembered. Cedric raised his sword. Imperial army. Advance. Thousands of imperial knights charged. The Shadow Crown answered in kind. The final battle began. Cassian pointed toward the western wall. Protect the civilians. Hold every gate. The imperial army moved as one. Nearby, Lyra stood beside Lucien. We'll clear the way. Rowan smiled. Just like old times. Kale adjusted his glasses. I'll handle the enemy mages. Serena drew her blade. And I'll cover all of you. The 5 friends rushed into battle. Every lesson they had learned at the academy led them to this moment. Across the battlefield, Duke Ulrich attempted to flee. Lucien noticed him immediately. There, together, the 5 surrounded him. Lyra defeated the guards. Rowan disarmed the knights. Kale shattered the enemy's spells. Serena blocked every escape. Lucien stood before the Duke. It's over. The Duke laughed. You think you've won? Lucien calmly raised the recovered documents. You betrayed the Empire. You funded the Shadow Crown. You sold imperial secrets. You tried to plunge the Empire into civil war. The surrounding nobles slowly lowered their banners. One after another, they abandoned Duke Ulrich. His sword slipped from his hand. No, no. Imperial knights immediately arrested him. The conspiracy had ended. Then, a terrifying pressure swept across the battlefield. Everyone looked up. Zack. He walked forward alone. Every step shook the earth. Cedric, Aldrich, Adrian, Cassian. None of them could stop him. He wasn't merely powerful. He was an ancient dragon. He stopped before Lucien. The silver bracelet suddenly shone. Ancient dragon runes spread across Lucien's arm. Golden sealing circles appeared beneath Zack's feet. He looked down. Evelyn. A faint scoff escaped him. So, this was your answer. Golden chains burst from the earth. They wrapped around Zack's body. One after another. The seal tightened. Yet Zack never resisted. He simply watched Lucien. Then he spoke. Lucien, do you wish to see your mother? Lucien froze. What do you mean? For a brief moment, silence covered the battlefield. Then Zack gave a quiet scoff. Humph. Figure it out yourself. The final chain closed. Golden light engulfed him. The ancient dragon disappeared. The battlefield became silent. The clouds slowly parted. Morning sunlight illuminated the imperial capital. For the first time in 16 years, peace returned to the Empire. Lucien quietly looked toward the empty sky. Zack was gone. But one question remained. Do you wish to see your mother? No answer came. Only the wind. Some truths had finally been remembered. Others were left to time.